So, every one of us have got the devotion. We should be devoted to God who is inside us. We are the most real temple of God. The temples outside are mere reminders of the real inner temple. If you have the power to go inside yourself, then you have conquered the whole universe. What's the meaning of going inside? It has got great meaning. To go inside oneself means to go away from earthly attachments that hold us down like a captive balloon. We are tied to this world because of these dreadful attachments. Though it is very difficult to go inside, it is possible through either discrimination or devotion. Somehow we must find out the method to go inward. If your devotion to God increases, and your mind is drawn towards the lotus feet of God, He will provide you with the opportunity and everything will be favorable and all your problems will be overcome in an unexpected manner. You find that problem is no problem at all. You get into that state. By His grace, the world will drop off like the water from the feathers of a duck. Devotion has that tremendous power. A man having that devotion can change the course of life of another. Such tremendous spiritual force he will generate. We have seen in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Vivekananda, how by their talks, by their look, by their touch, by their love, they changed thousands of people. They changed the life journey of thousands of people. How many people were really blessed? Just before passing away, Sri Ramakrishna felt, anyway, this mortal frame will go away tomorrow. So Sri Ramakrishna wanted to give love even to the last day. Let me bless everybody who is there here now. He called them, come on. Come quickly, all of you. They were all surprised. They all came running. Sri Ramakrishna touched each one of them. By his touch, every one got tremendous spiritual experience. Each one was in spiritual ecstasy. And then Sri Ramakrishna made a statement, I have given you the taste of spiritual glory. If you want to have it, practice spiritual disciplines, and establish yourself well. And that is the day, the 1st of January, which is called as Kalpataru Day. Several thousands of people on that day will visit Kasipur garden where Sri Ramakrishna blessed the devotees. We have got ashrama there in Calcutta. On that particular day, everybody wants to go and have the darshan of Sri Ramakrishna in the temple. Very important, very blessed day. So, that is the great indication of devotion. Fully mature devotion. There is an episode in the life of Sant Tulsidas. You know, he was a great devotee. His devotion to Sri Ramachandra was supreme. Ramcharitmanas, even today, millions of people, every day, they read and read and read. I have seen, when I was in Calcutta, in Belur Math, it's a big place on the bank of Ganges, vast land. During weekends, several hundred people will be there, several hundred. And the area is quite big and there are many, many temples there. I am talking about our Ramakrishna mission premises. All people come and they sit there on the bank of Ganges. Some people, they take bath and some people will be reading, etc. So I used to go to the temples to offer my salutations. I would see these people, observe them, what these people were doing. Amazing. I have seen a person coming and reading Ramcharitmanas and several hundred people sitting there with rapt attention. And this person is explaining to them. Of course, Ramcharitmanas is in Hindi, people can understand. It is written in a beautiful way. And they were all shedding tears of joy. It was a grand sight, very grand sight. So such is the life of Tulsidas. So, what happened one day, some thieves broke into Tulsidas' place. Well, they have come. When the thieves came, what did they see? They saw a young man of black complexion guarding the home. He was having bow and arrow in his hands. And wherever the thieves turn about, the guard also would turn in that direction. And finally he warned them, he will punish them if they move a step forward. They were terribly frightened. And they ran away. They could not go because that God was so powerful and was looking so robust and energetic, and he meant what he said. So they could not dare to go forward. So they ran back. Next day, They came to Tulsidas. Just out of curiosity, they were asking, "Sir, who is that dark complexioned young man who was standing as your guard? How could you get such a man?" Tulsidas was surprised to hear that. But he concluded, it must be Sri Ramchandra. So his heart was deeply moved. He was in raptures to feel that Lord himself had appeared as a guard. So that incident provoked him to such an extent. What Tulsidas did, he gave away all he had with him. Take away everything. Yesterday night you wanted to come and rob. Take away all these things. Now, what has happened to the thieves? Whatever may be the reason, they got the vision of Sri Ramchandra. And when they saw Tulsidas blessed them. So it had tremendous effect upon those thieves. All the poison, the bad samskaras in the mind were uprooted. Without trace, they were removed. With folded hands, they appealed to Tulsidas to forgive them, and they received instruction from him. They got the mantra of Sri Rama. Thenceforward, they led pure life, devoting themselves to God. Cultivate devotion for God and love Him. That's all. Let us do it and develop our spiritual personality accordingly and make our life meaningful and blessed. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, where Sri Ramakrishna has given clear instructions about living our life. Sri Ramakrishna has said many things. He says that we should have Sita as our ideal. Sri Ramakrishna prays to Divine Mother, "O Mother, make me like Sita." Sri Ramakrishna is giving an ideal here for us to follow. If we study Sita's life, we find that how she became completely forgetful of everything, body and limbs, totally unconscious of hands, feet and sense organs. She was concentrating on one thought in her mind always. That was, where is my Rama? Her whole being was on the divine personality, Sri Ramachandra. She had tremendous yearning. Every moment of her breath, she would call on Sri Rama with intense feeling. Her life was centered in Sri Rama. In that process, her whole mind became totally absorbed in the divine form of Sri Ramachandra. She forgot even the body, which is so dear to all. Another impressive character, the impressive feature in Sita is she is virtue incarnate. She serves Sri Rama with all care, love and affection. Sri Ramachandra was her consort. But how did she serve him? With what unflinching devotion and faith in him? That is remarkable. She sweetly administers to the needs of Sri Ramachandra in weal and woe. She bows down to his will without any question. She willingly followed Sri Ramachandra in his life of exile and accepts her ordeal by fire and banishment to the forest without any question. She never even for a moment complained about Sri Rama. She is pure, modest, one-pointed, devoted. She suffered all through her life. Her power manifests through her suffering. She is the personification of endurance. So Sri Ramakrishna holds Sita as the great ideal. We must look on suffering that way. Suffering has its own purpose. There are so many ways of suffering. Suffering for the sake of humanity. Suffering for the sake of others. Suffering without any selfish motive. Selfless suffering. The mother suffers for the sake of her child. But whatever suffering she might undergo, she doesn't feel, because she loves her child intensely, so that makes her sacrifice supreme. Second point Sri Ramakrishna said was, God dwells in all beings. He is the gold in all. In some places it's more clearly manifest than in others. God is present everywhere. He dwells not only in the spiritual minded people, He dwells in the worldly minded too. But He is hidden there, like gold under deep layers of clay. This worldliness covers up the manifestation of the glory of God. Because of this covering, we suffer. Unless the mind is made tranquil and pure, we cannot observe God. We can't have any taste of God. We don't feel even interested to come to chapel. Probably we would be interested to see some sports or some TV show, or go to some bar and enjoy some time in the club, so on and so forth. So the Mahatmas always insist upon maintaining the purity of the heart. The mirror of the heart should be made clean to become aware of the presence of God. God is the nearest to us. He is the life of our life, the mind of our mind. We breathe just because He is there. So, the important point that we should note here is what Sri Ramakrishna says: keep the mind pure. That is your responsibility, that is your duty. We are conscious of our duties. In the same way, we must be conscious of our spiritual duties too. To maintain the purity of the heart is very important. The rest is God's business. He is providence, the wish-fulfilling tree. He provides everything. He acts like a valet to provide us with whatever we want. But we must be careful not to go to Him with any selfish desires. Because desire is the root of all suffering. You can never satisfy the desires. The more you enjoy, the more you want. The very first attribute of God is lordliness. Contemplation on God should enable us to gain lordliness over our passions and become master of our souls. Unless we control our senses, we cannot have peace at all. If we are aspiring for peace, it follows we should take all steps to control our senses, to direct the senses properly, to make use of the senses properly. Secondly, whatever God wills is immediately done. We also have the power to translate our wishes into action. Thirdly, God is love. As He loves everyone, so should we love all created beings. We should not hate anybody. One is invoking God's name properly to the extent that one is able to acquire His attributes. God is all-pervading and all-powerful. There is nothing that cannot be granted by Him. Whatever we want from Him, He supplies like a servant, as it were. Therefore, we should not ask for anything from Him, but remain satisfied with whatever He is pleased to give us. If we ask the God for anything, He presents us with a gift which is like a double-edged sword. Real welfare lies in using things properly. Wrong use of things brings misfortune. If God Himself comes down to confer on us the blessing of peace, we will turn down His offer. Because mind is not sufficiently pure, it is entangled in so many worldly things. This is why He comes down to us as the embodiment of renunciation. He comes to relieve us of all our worldly possessions and everything that we call our own. Third point, Sri Ramakrishna said, God cannot be realized. The knowledge of Brahman cannot be attained if the aspirant is worldly minded. Again and again Sri Ramakrishna tells these points. Worldly ways, they are responsible for suffering. Why we suffer? Because our mind runs after worldly things. Because our mind has no control. It has lost its control. It has lost its power of discrimination. So, as a consequence of this, we have to suffer. To give an example, Sri Ramakrishna explains things giving wonderful similes. Suppose there is a man who has no family to care for. Single parent, as in America it's very common. Single parent homes, very common. He has no relatives to look after. But what will he do? He will have some pet with him, such as a cat, a monkey, or a puppy, or a bird. And he fondles it. He wants to spend time with the pets. Such is the nature that Maya attracts people, put people in such ignorance. The heart of a worldly man is stuffed with all kinds of worldly thoughts and desires. So why the worldly man is not able to realize God? That's also explained by a good simile. Suppose there is a wet match. It doesn't ignite however hard you may strike it. It only smokes. But a dry match lights at once, even with the slightest rubbing. Swami Vivekananda. So the heart of the true devotee is like the dry match. The slightest mention of the name of the Lord kindles the fire of love in his heart. While the mind of the worldly man, soaked in passions and attachments, resists all warmth like the moistened match. Though God may be preached to him several times, the fire of divine love can never be kindled in him. He will be same as before. Because so much of impurities are there. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling, associate with holy people, read the holy texts, undertake some spiritual disciplines with all sincerity, pray to God earnestly, be sincere in our attempts, repent for what you have done in the past. The sincerity in repenting would be not to commit again such blunders in life. Always to be humble and serviceable. Try to be always free from pride. By these methods, over the period of time, it should be possible to get the mind purified. It's a constant process. It's not a matter to be done in a few days or a month. The whole lifetime takes. It depends upon how much impurity we have in our heart. So each man's spiritual practices therefore vary according to the impurities in oneself. So Sri Ramakrishna's teachings are clearly given. If we are really aspiring for peace and happiness, we must maintain purity. Purity itself is happiness. If you feel you are pure, sattvic, that itself gives you wonderful joy. He has come who declared himself as, who was Sri Ramachandra in Treta Yuga and Sri Krishna in Dwapar Yuga, has now come in the form of Sri Ramakrishna. There was a very serious discussion about this. Scholars from different religions of the time were called in. They had a conference to discuss about the characteristics of an incarnation of God, wherein, after thorough discussions, finally they found out and realized Sri Ramakrishna has fulfilled all those characteristics. So we should convince about his being incarnation. Now Sri Ramakrishna, when he said this, it has got spiritual significance. It means I have come on my own. All of you who are seeking peace and joy are welcome. I will assure you all that is needed to have that wonderful vision of God. And it is the manifestation of the supreme grace. It is very difficult to get the grace of God. But in this incarnation, Sri Ramakrishna is full of grace, full of kindness and compassion for the beings. He doesn't force anyone, but he tells the points very clearly so that people need not have any conflicting ideas in the mind. So he made the spiritual path easy and approachable to all the beings of the world. That is the uniqueness of Sri Ramakrishna. So in order to impress upon the people the way of spirituality, he himself underwent all disciplines required and tried, as any human being would try, to have the vision of God. After 12 long years of intense spiritual disciplines, concentration, meditation, prayers, living a secluded life, cooking the food himself, following all the instructions meticulously. His whole mind was fixed on how to get the vision of God. His mind did not go in any way other than the Supreme God. So his mind was fixed on God and he wanted nothing but God. Then finally he got the vision of the Divine Mother who revealed to him the universal consciousness, how the whole universe is enveloped by the Paramatman. It was an ecstatic experience for Sri Ramakrishna, and thereafter he practiced different religions to know, to show the way to the people following those respective religions, the authenticity of those religions. And finally he declared that all religions are true. Every religion leads the sincere aspirant to the goal. So he harmonized all the religions. So he advocated the philosophy of acceptance. What a great joy to accept everything. Everything is the glory of God. Nothing is to be rejected. Looking everything in a positive way. That concept, that universal concept, Sri Ramakrishna gave to this world, and he made known this wonderful message through his apostle, Swami Vivekananda, who came to America from India just to give this message of Vedanta, dwelling on the nature of one's own self, bereft of all forms, to realize the essence of the truth. What is the essence of all religions? So, the doctrine of Vedanta was taught for the first time in America by Swami Vivekananda, who got that divine commandment from Sri Ramakrishna to deliver this message of assurance to the people in the West. Not only that, in the country where Sri Ramakrishna was born, India, he wanted to bring peace among various religions and sects. And he wanted to sort it out, which are the safest way to practice, which are dangerous, and so on. So, in Sri Ramakrishna, anybody can be very safe without losing one's own religion or one's own identity. Everyone is accepted by Sri Ramakrishna. Everyone in this creation. And he accepts it wholeheartedly, not bit by bit. Once you come to Sri Ramakrishna, He embraces you fully, not a half-hearted way. There is no artificiality in Sri Ramakrishna's teachings, his methods, his application. That's the beauty of Sri Ramakrishna. So it's very important for the students of Sri Ramakrishna, that is, who are learning about the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. It is very important they should concentrate more and more on understanding his teachings, and they must be very regular in their pursuit of knowledge. They should not divert the mind to all sorts of things. So, here our ashrama is providing all the facility for the real spiritual aspirants to evolve, to blossom fully under the direct influence, grace of Sri Ramakrishna. So, more and more you must become regular in attending the classes and services, so that the ideas you learn here become well understood and become well settled in the mind. And each one of you should feel close affinity towards Sri Ramakrishna and his divine teachings. In that process, you are becoming the world citizen. Your home is the world, not simply Chicago. All are your friends. There is nobody to hate, only to give love and affection, whatever, wherever it is possible. That's the beauty of coming near Sri Ramakrishna. When we come to Sri Ramakrishna, we must manifest his most attracting divine qualities. So Sri Ramakrishna, in the course of his teachings, has made the point very clear. People talk about yoga, and there are so many people who are trying to practice it in different names, give some sensational name so that people can come there. So, people are trying in their own way, in different ways. But, in spite of all these things, still it is very difficult to find a real good saint or a yogi in this world. Because yoga is to be practiced in a proper way, then only it gives you result. Anyway, Sri Ramakrishna has definitely said how a man attains yoga. Everybody wants to be a yogi. That's true. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be peaceful, joyful, cheerful. There is no doubt about it. But we have to make efforts in a proper way. We have to know the things correctly, then apply immediately without loss of time. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling, yoga is possible only when the mind is freed from lust and gold. These are the two terrible attractions. They pull the mind downwards with great velocity. So, before you know what would happen, you are crushed. So one has to be extremely careful not to lose control over the mind. It is just like driving the vehicle. When you are driving the vehicle, if you go on a moderate speed, everything is under control. But suppose you go on high speed, then there is every danger of losing control, and there are many instances how people get into severe accidents because they have no control over the things. So, control, that is discipline. That is very important, particularly in spiritual life, because spiritual life means swimming in the world, swimming against the current of the world. So Sri Ramakrishna gives an idea just to give inspiration for us to march onwards in our spiritual way. There is Paramatma, there is Jivatma. As we see, the world is there, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, so many varieties we see in this world, in this creation. Everything is there. Multiplicity of things. So Sri Ramakrishna refers to every individual as a needle. The Paramatma, God you may call by that name, is the magnet. So the individual self, by whatever name you are being called, to identify yourself that you are that particular individual. You will experience that state of yoga when you are attracted by the Paramatman, the Supreme Self, to itself, who is the magnet, is a powerful magnet. It's a tremendous power. Paramatma is tremendous, infinite power. Ananta Shakti, Ananta Shaktiman. Paramatma. But the magnet cannot attract the needle if the needle is covered with clay. Just as the sun cannot be seen if it is covered by cloud. The cloud is very insignificant, but it is enough to cover the brilliant sun. In the same way, though there is tremendous attraction between magnet and the needle cannot come near the magnet because of the clay stalked over it. So the magnet can only draw the needle when the clay is removed. So the clay must be removed. That is the important point which we should remember. The clay must be removed if that needle is to be attracted by the magnet. It's very simple. How nicely Sri Ramakrishna has explained the sublime spiritual philosophy. So what is the clay that is covering the needle mind? The clay is this terrible lust and gold. Morning to night, people dwell on these two things always. The other day I asked, where is your husband? I didn't see him in the meeting. And she said, oh Swamiji, he was about to come, but he got a call, he had to go. It's not that he is going without any receiving benefit out of that call, because he responds to that call, he gets a double pay for that. If he goes and work in a special way, he will get the special payment. So money attraction, that is more important for him than attending spiritual function. It's very simple, but we don't want to accept that, but we want our ways to be compromised in such a way that we must have the benefit of spirituality, at the same time we must not give up worldliness. That's impossible. You can't have both. You can't run after God and run after the world together. No. When you are running after the world, you are far away from God. When you are running after God, you are far away from the world. So we cannot run for the two things at the same time. That is the meaning of telling yoga and bhoga are they cannot go together. Bhoga always pulls you down. Yoga always keeps you up. So if you want to have yoga and bhoga both, then neither you will be rising up nor you will be going down. You will be in the neutral position. But you have to get over that. You have to get over that neutral state. You can't stay on in that neutral state for a long time. It's all right for some time to refresh yourself, that neutral state, all right. I have climbed 500 steps, let me take rest. Afterwards I will continue my journey. If you look upon with that idea, then it's all right. But you don't know in that process whether you are going upwards or you are going downwards. Because the natural tendency of the mind is to always go downwards. Because over the period of various births, we have driven our mind that way, always engaging in some sort of worldly things. Every birth means every birth you are multiplying your desires, and desires are not fulfilled and you are frustrated, stress and strain. Where do they go? If you don't eliminate them, they stay in your mind again to come up. You take next birth, whatever that is stored up in the mind, they come up, they show up their heads. Again you are under stress and strain. Again you commit all sorts of things. So, it's a bitter lesson to learn that this is not the way of getting peace or joy. The only way is to not to think of bhoga anymore. On the other hand, positively speaking, fixing the mind on the divine spiritual ideas, and creating such atmosphere, environment, situations so that you can evolve in a healthy way. That is why our ashrama is trying its best to prepare such beautiful, sincere, straightforward spiritual aspirants. Then you will see the glory of God, how He manifests through you. He chooses you, He selects you. Here is a person, I can trust him, so he will never misuse my spiritual power. Then Sri Ramakrishna's power works through you in a miraculous way. Just be at him, you will see how wondrous it works. But we should not be impatient. Oh, I have been coming here since 20 years, but I don't see any progress. Why? Because that only shows you are not practicing properly. And there are people who come 20 years, 30 years, what they have done? They have developed a certain type of ego. I am coming here 25 years. This guy is just coming 2 months. I am superior to him. So this worldliness enters into spiritual way of thinking also. It spoils him. Never allow that. It will surely reach the Lord. Only those who love God like shopkeepers, looking for profit, will give up if their prayers are not answered immediately. What's the use of praying to God? My difficulties are not removed. I don't need God anymore. This kind of attitude is considered as shopkeeping attitude. If we have that attitude in our mind, be sure our prayers will not be answered. The waves will never subside. If you take the example of ocean, then how to bathe? You have gone there to the ocean to take bath, but waves are coming incessantly. He who bathes amidst the waves, he alone takes his bath. In the same manner, he who is able to pray amidst pleasure and pain, amidst disease and sorrow, amidst misery and poverty, he alone is capable of calling on the Lord. On the other hand, he who says, let the proper time come, then I shall pray. Many people have that attitude. Time is not yet ready for us. We want to enjoy the world. After enjoyment, when we become pretty old, we shall devote all our time. When we get retirement, our whole body and mind will be for the service of God. That argument, lots of people talk about like that. As if God is to be reached only through old age. What a tragedy. Greatest tragedy it is. If you can't achieve God when you are young, how can you hope to get Him when you are old? When your body is rebelling, when your mind is rebelling, when you are caught by disease, when you are down with blood pressure, diabetes and all sorts of diseases, how can you expect God? How can you expect peace of mind? You can't, you are not allowed to sleep even. You cannot even think. Even thinking becomes very tiresome. You can't lie down, you can't get up, you can't eat. Terrible state of suffering. And people talk about God is to be achieved after some time. When that blessed time comes, nobody knows. Well, very few people have everything just as they want it. Very few people have got that facility. Disease and suffering are ever present. He who calls on the Lord, no matter what his circumstances are, he alone can succeed. So we should pray, O Lord, may I never forget your name. I take refuge in you. Please assign me to your service and destroy my ego and burn all my doubts. You are my master. You are my guru. You are my father. You are my mother. And all in all, I am your child. I am your child. Please guide me to the path of blessedness. Make me your instrument. Do not delude me with your bewitching Maya. O my sweet Lord, I have not seen you. I have only heard your name. I know only your name. I can utter your name. That's all that I can do. Please make me your own. We must pray like this. Daily we must pray like this. Only then will that Supreme Being choose to bestow His grace on us. Once we are chosen by Him, we will not have to worry anymore. He will guide us at every step and will tell us what to do. Please remember, it is easy to fool human beings but not God. He knows our shortcomings in spite of our best efforts to hide them. We should pray to the Lord with a guileless heart. O Lord, please remove all my faults and weaknesses. It is true, dirt is in the mind, much as it is in a dirty room. But then we will have to clean it, sometimes with a broom or sometimes with water. Some ideas of the mind are to be swept out forcibly. Others are to be washed away with tears. With tearful prayers, we will have to say to the Lord, O Lord, why do such ideas come to my mind? With these there, you will never come to my mind. So make my mind pure, make my mind clean. Please come and appear before me. We will have to say this with wholeheartedness, with tears. That is how Sri Ramakrishna has taught us. Sri Ramakrishna is the model. This way I often tell people. See, many people, they go to the garden, just enjoying the beauty of the garden, but go away without seeing the owner of the garden. Who is the owner of the garden? Who is responsible for such a beautiful garden? In the same way I have seen people who come to Vivekananda Vedanta Society driving 1 hour drive, 2 hour drive. I have seen people coming 2.5 hours drive, 3 hours drive, come here, wander about inside the premises, go away without entering into the chapel. That's the paradox. Anyway, always we must remember, as soon as we enter the ashram, the first thing is go to the chapel with all humbleness. Offer your prayers. Offer your salutations. Let the ego bend a little. Then go and wander about wherever you want. Bookstore, library, kitchen. Go anywhere you want. But not before offering your prayers and salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, who is the presiding deity, who is being worshipped daily, whose daily services are being conducted. Hardly 2-3 people will be sitting here. This minimum spiritual practice we are unable to do. How many people are able to conduct prayers in their homes daily? Impossible. So many obstructions are there. But here we provide the place for doing the daily prayers. Why don't people come and participate? But then they have got excuses. Oh, we have got so many things to do. They have got so many things to do except this. That's the argument, you know. And then, when we pray, our goodwill should flow out for the whole world, for the whole humanity, for all the beings, irrespective of caste, color, creed, race, anybody. Our goodwill should flow like the flow of holy river Ganga. Our daily prayers should include an invocation for the welfare of all. Let all the people be prosperous. Let all the people be happy. Let all people be peaceful. These are very healthy vibrations, purifying the hearts of people. These thoughts must be spread into air, must be flown. The air carries all these vibrations. And it does, these vibrations do have effect upon the beings. The whole world is going on in spite of so many problems, disturbances, violence, hatred, crime, etc., etc. Yet the world is moving on. How? By the prayers of the holy people. You must know that. So, Sri Ramakrishna plays very important attention on practicing daily prayers. Whatever you have to do, you must do it daily, not weekly basis, not simply weekends. That weekend attitude must go away. Daily, every day. Every day we must remember God. Every day we must pray to God. Every day we must cleanse our mind. Every day we take bath to cleanse our body. Just like that. Every day doing makes the job easy. And the incarnations come to teach people love and devotion. They provide us an opportunity to taste what the devotion and love of God mean. Certain facts we must become aware of. That is, pleasure and pain, birth and death, disease and grief, all will be there as long as we are identified with the body. All these belong to the body alone and not to the soul, not to the spirit. We should try to meditate on the divine supreme being, Every day, early hours of the morning and after dusk, meditation is very important. So these tips are to be taken. Then only we become qualified to enjoy real peace and real joy. So another important factor that we should remember is grace secures not the end merely, but the means as well. So it is grace that is transmitted by the Guru to the disciple. That's why when we take initiation, it is really another birth for the soul. It's a new life for the person who receives initiation. He's just led into a new path of spiritual way. So Guru transmits grace to the disciple in the form of initiation. If we study again the life of Holy Mother, the divine consort of Sri Ramakrishna, you will see how her whole life was full of grace. People would come to her to receive her blessings. People would come to her seeking initiation, and Divine Mother as she was, she would never say no to anybody. Let anybody committed any blunder or crime, even then that person has a place with Divine Mother. She said, if I don't look after them, who else will take care of them? If mother neglects the child, who will take care of the child? Is it not the responsibility of the mother to take care of the child? Sometimes the child makes its body dirty, playing outside, etc. It is mother who cleans the child and makes it all right. In the same way, we too, we are all just babies in the eyes of God. Just we are all children, though we may be 70, 80 years of age. So, Holy Mother, Sri Sharda Devi was telling from that point of view, they are all my children. What strength of mind she had when she said that. What realization was there in her when she expressed this. It is not simply talking. It is not simply telling, you are all my children and behave in your own way. No, it is not like that. She meant what she said. And whoever comes, she would literally cleanse them. She would take away all the impurities, make the mind pure enough to receive the mantra from her. And thus she would help everybody, not only Indian community, people coming from abroad, all were same to her. So that is the act of grace what we see. In fact, sometimes God will not push us. He will say, all right, he wants to have some fun in the world. Let him have some fun in the world. Then when the fun is over, let him come. So he is allowing the child to have the fun, just like allowing your baby to go and play. It is just like, so people living in the world is also an act of grace from that point of view. But finally you will realize the play will not lead you to liberation, then you will come to God. So grace operates in a number of ways. You feel the effect of grace when you turn towards God, when you begin nourishing spiritual ideas. You really enjoy when you read the spiritual literature. The very impulse to worship God arises from God's grace. What is worship after all? It is nothing but direct service to God. Thinking God is living in front of you, He is accepting your service. He has come there to accept your service. So, the idea will come to your mind, today I feel like worshipping God. Let me do that. You will have immense satisfaction by doing the worship. It makes your mind completely sattvic, and you feel more and more nearness towards God. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna, what was his main spiritual practice? It was just worship only. He worshipped Divine Mother Kali in the temple. In the worship, he would offer his prayers. He will concentrate completely, and thus he was able to have the vision of Mother. By worshipping Mother, he got the vision of Mother. Constantly remembering, thinking, doing service, he could get that experience. He loved to worship. That impulse to do worship, it is the indicator of grace. There's another incident which I would like to tell you. You know, Sri Ramakrishna, his father's name was Kshudiram, a great devotee of Sri Ramchandra. Ram Saligram. Even now you can see when you go there to Kamarpakot, the birthplace of Sri Ramakrishna. There Sri Ramakrishna's temple we have. There this Raghuveer Saligram, Ram Saligram, which was being worshipped by Kshudiram, is still there. Once he wanted to see his nephew, who was far away, 40 miles away from his village. Those days, you know, people would have to go by cart or they should walk. There was no automobile in those days. So Kshudiram decided that he will walk the distance, 40 miles. So he started very early morning from his home. So he has covered about 20 miles. That means he has come half the way. Then he saw bilva trees, fresh with bilva leaves. He was so happy to see the bilva leaves. Bilva leaves, 3 leaves in one stem, which is offered to Lord Shiva. Shiva is bilva priya. He loves bilva leaves, just as Vishnu loves tulasi. And he was so happy to see those fresh leaves, beautiful leaves without any holes, just blossomed, green and fresh. Immediately the thought came to him. The thought of his going to nephew's place was put aside. Immediately the thought came to him, why not I worship? Take these fresh bilva leaves. Where do I get these leaves? He never thought of getting these leaves in his Kamarpakor. That was not the time to get. Probably it may take some more days to get those leaves, but now he has got at hand. When the opportunity is there, you must do it. Not you have to wait for some other opportunity. Who knows whether you may get that opportunity or not. When the opportunity is there, use it immediately. That's the best way. So he just plucked the bilva leaves, whatever he wanted, took it in a bag, came back to his home, walked back 20 miles. Probably would have reached the nephew's place if he had walked further. Came back. By the time he came back, it was late afternoon. He had not taken food, anything. But he was not interested in drinking and eating. His whole mind was concentrated on to do worship. That's the main thing. Because his wife also was very devoted, Chandramani Devi. She was surprised to see Kshudiram returned so quickly. Person who had gone to see nephew had come so quickly. But she could not talk to him because he was not in the mood to talk. Just he came, he took bath and began to do worship of Lord Shiva. Wholeheartedly worshipped and tears were flowing to his eyes. He was overwhelmed with joy. Next day he started again to visit his nephew's place. So, that is the significance of grace. Sometimes you sit for meditation. Sometimes you feel very good meditation. It's really wonderful value of grace. It's because of grace you are able to have that experience. So, in Sri Ramakrishna's life also we have seen how Sri Ramakrishna gave out his grace immensely to one and all. There is another famous character. His name was Girish Chandra Ghosh, which life also you should read. Then you will understand. He himself has said that he had committed worst type of sins in this world. He has committed all sorts of sins. There is nothing more left to be done. So at that point he became very hopeless in the mind. Many times he thought of committing suicide because of his bad habits, drinking and all sorts of things. Nobody